Okay.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. This is the Planning, Highways and Environment Committee, which we're attending virtually today, 8th of September. I'd like to open the meeting with any apologies for absence. I do know that Councillor Dr. Hannah Scott is not available to be with us tonight, and I think unless Town Clerk knows of anybody else who may have been in attendance or expected, that may be the only apology.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, but we are quorate, aren't we, Jill?
You are, yes.
Thank you. So item 2, members' interests. Are there any members who have to declare a pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest on items on the agenda this evening?
Yep. I do, Helen.
So Councillor Cornford and Councillor Wallen, do you have any items where you have a personal interest on the agenda this evening?
Potentially, yes. I know would deem as a friend and etc. one of the applicants for one of the planning applications, which is number C, I think it is. Yes, land adjacent 16 Station Road.
Thank you very much. Right, item 3, the minutes. Does anybody have any comments to make or any changes to request on the minutes for the meeting that was held on the 14th of July?
No.
We're all happy with that. So would somebody like to propose?
Yeah. Is that?
I can't see, I can only see the agenda on my screen, so I can't see who's proposing at the moment.
Oh, okay. Is that is Councillor Cornford?
Thank you. And was there a seconder?
Councillor Wallen.
Thank you very much. So we're all agreed on the minutes.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank
Councillor Page, you've disappeared from the screen. I've just got now your notice board. That's better. Thank you.
You can see me now. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So under chairperson's announcements, Councillor Dr. Hannah Scott has asked me to speak to you about the biodiversity study. This has not been commissioned as yet, as we need to speak to the landowner to gain access if we deem the document beneficial. It may be possible that the developer's plans may include a sufficient biodiversity study and that biodiversity gains will become clear through that. I would also like to mention that as part of the local plans on the fields near Shottendane Road, there is an archaeological dig currently being done. We're still waiting for the report on that, I think, aren't we, Jill?
Yes, that's correct. I've had an update from the developer to say that there's still work ongoing, and as soon as it's available, they will be sharing that with us.
That's lovely. Thank you very much. And I'd just like to make a brief mention that at last week's full council meeting, we were due to have 2 visitors, one from TDC and one from Your Leisure. The agenda item was to discuss our beach and esplanade challenges on St Mildred's Bay and West Bay, and how we might work with them going forwards and make some plans and proposals and perhaps some benefits towards next summer for everybody using those 2 bays and esplanades. So we are hoping to invite them again to a future meeting so that we can bring that back to the agenda. Just wanted to briefly offer an explanation for that, but we did need to deal urgently with the KCC ATC project. Then I'd like to move on to item 5 and ask Town Clerk, have we got any public members who would like to participate this evening?
No, no requests.
No, thank you very much. Item 6, home energy information. Can I hand this over to the Town Clerk to give us some information? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so Thanet District Council have a new home energy officer. She's been contacting the town and parish councils. She'd like to work in collaboration with the local councils, and she wants to raise awareness for householders of grants and assistance, ensure that there's signposting to other organisations as well, and in safer times she wants to actually undertake training sessions. And this is all to do with the new government initiatives that are accessible for affordable heating and energy. She said that there's a new solar scheme that's going to be coming through. And apparently the Chancellor has recently announced vouchers that will be available to householders to install energy efficiency and renewable energy measures, and more details are to follow soon. I'm actually spoken to her on the telephone today, and she's going to be sending through some electronic posters and flyers which we can share, and also we're going to put an article in our next magazine as well to raise awareness, so there will be more information coming through for all members in due course. Thank you. Thank
you very much. Okay, we'll move on then to item 7, which are the planning decisions which have been issued by Thanet District Council. Would you like me to go through each of those individually, Jill, or shall I move on to those that we need to consider?
I'm happy if you, I mean, if you just wanted to read, you don't have to necessarily read all the information that's for each one, but if you wanted to read just to, you know, the actual address, you know, that might be useful for anyone that watches the meeting at a later date.
Okay, thank you. So the first one is application 0594 relating to 12 Minster Road, granted permission. Application 0476 11 Canterbury Road, that was granted permission. Application 0434, which is 15 C Road, and that was granted permission. Application 0572 Cliff Road, number 5, granted permission. Application 0762 14 Carlton Road West, granted permission. Application 0553 45 to 49 C Road, granted permission. Application 0513 46 St Bennett's Road, granted permission. Then on to item number 8 on the agenda, significant previous approved and awaiting approval planning applications update. The only item of mention under this item today is 129 C Road, because there has been a second appeal lodged regarding a refusal of permission for this application. That's still currently ongoing with Thanet District Council, and I believe is being put through to the planning executive for further consideration. So that is still ongoing, and we'll need to just be mindful to look out for the decision on that one in the near future. If we then go on to item number 9, planning applications for consultation. So item A 0964 and item B 0965 are both relating to the Ursuline Convent on Canterbury Road. Item B is actually an application for listed building consent for work they need to do to tiled roofs and side elevation. And then the previous item is application to actually do the work relating to those roofs and tiles. So I know Councillor Cornford has declared an interest, so she won't be speaking on those two. So I'll ask Councillor Walling if he's got any comments to make on those.
All I can say is I've read the applications, and it looks like essential work to stop the rain coming in through the roof and things. So it's needed, and it looks acceptable to my view. That's it.
Thank you. Yes, I would agree with you. It is work that needs to be done. Quite clearly from the photographs, there's a lot of very serious repair needed. And would you agree that we could put that approved without comment?
Certainly would, yes.
Thank you. So then we approve A and B. 0964, 0965, just for clarification.
Thank you.
Item C, which is application 1076, land adjacent to 16 Station Road, erection of 2 number 3-storey, 3-bedroom semi-detached dwellings. This is a pair of semi-detached houses which are planned in the waste ground in Station Road, next to 16 Station Road, and next to the small industrial unit that's down there. And I think Councillor Walling would want to declare an interest on this one as previously advised. So has Councillor Cornford any comments on this one?
Only that I looked at it, you know, on the planning application website for TDC, and significantly there are no objections to this, because I was concerned about neighbours, etc., and any kind of overlooking, but there have been no public objections. I was concerned about the access into the parking area at the back of the commercial unit.
Okay.
And then I just wondered if the colouring on the map, on the photograph, was, you know, had just bled over, had encroached on what would actually be a small access, which it must be, because there's got to be something there, hasn't there?
I think the photograph doesn't make it very clear, partially because it's been shaded to highlight the plot, because there's really no access to the industrial unit car park other than its actual entrance on the pavement.
I was wondering if that was going to be a joint entrance.
No, because the plans show that they're going to have the curb dropped at the front of the waste plot as it is now. It looks like they're going to drop it in 2 places to allow access into the plot once the houses are built. The entrance into the industrial unit next door is completely separate. I went and had a look at the site, not just the plot, but also I went into the industrial unit and had a look there. I also went up the embankment where the houses are and had a look from outside number 16 down onto the plot. The first thing I would say is that I think it's good that somebody wants to use bare land that's not being used currently for some housing. That's always very positive. The only thing that concerns me really are the boundaries. Firstly, at the back, it's very high. It's an embankment up to the railway line. And my concerns looking at that is how that's going to be shored up. I know the finished plans are to have wooden fencing, vertical fencing all the way around, but the land at the back leading up that embankment needs to be shored. Yes, Councillor Cornford.
The Network Rail statement was quite strong in wording, so I would think together with building regs, that will be something that will be taken care of.
Okay. The only other concern on boundaries, well, the only other, there are a couple. the boundary with 16C Road, would you think also that building regs would be looking at the shoring of that side beneath 16C Road, where the base of their houses, the footings, because
Definitely.
that would be a concern.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you
Definitely.
wouldn't be
Station
concerned
Road,
about-
yes, definitely.
The only other point then I wanted to raise was the boundary with the industrial unit next door is actually a brick wall, which on the plans is referred to as a retaining wall, but I believe it might be a boundary wall that belongs to the industrial unit. So my comment there would be that perhaps the application should be careful to check whose boundary that is, because I believe there is also a plan to have more vertical fencing on top of that wall. So they may need to consider who actually owns that wall as part of their property before anything is done there. That's just a small concern. But I think other than those comments, I think it's probably a good use of the space.
I think so,
Would you agree?
because it's quite a scar there. And there
Yeah.
is room. There is just room. It's a good use of what's essentially a brownfield site, isn't it?
Well, for the benefit of anybody who might be listening to this meeting, the plot will, first of all, from the pavement open to parking spaces at the front, with the houses behind the car parking spaces. There'll be a brick wall between each of the properties, and some landscaping to the front and some landscaping behind, with some trees at the back. And although it's quite a very deep dip at the moment, the plans for the properties are that they will be, when finished, the apex will be almost matching the apex of 16 Station Road next door. So they will match the height of the other dwellings in that road, which I think is an important point to make. So from point of view of putting this through, Jill, are you okay with the comments that we've made so far, or do you need any clarification?
Yes, I think if you could just clarify for me, please, because are you saying you're supporting it with comments?
Supporting it with comments,
Thank
particularly in relation to safety of boundaries, and I think it would be well to investigate the ownership of the boundary, which is the brick wall on the industrial unit next door.
Okay, thank you.
Because I think that may be owned by the owner of the industrial unit. So I think perhaps clarification should be done on that. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And we just need to check Councillor Cornford's in agreement with that. Thank you.
I'm really sorry, but I think that quite a bit of that would be included by building regulations, and boundaries are very well, most arguments between neighbours are about boundaries, so I do feel that something like a boundary wall would be flagged up. And my inclination would be just to say no comment on this one, simply because that's the type of work that building control do. That's what I would say. and there have been no local objections. And with quite a lot of buildings going up and being shoehorned in, etc., comments are always made by neighbours who are not happy, or by those who are affected by a planning application. They do speak up, especially when it comes to boundaries. Yeah, that's my view, and my view only. And there's only two of us.
I know. Okay, well, I'll accede to that, because what you say is quite right, and I think we'll put it through on that basis then. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that, Helen.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, can I just clarify then? Are we supporting without comment, or are we just raising no objections?
Raising no objections.
No objections. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. After all that. So then on to item D then, which is application 0950 33 Ethelbert Square, which is the change of use from the social club class D1 to dwelling house class C3, with partial removal of the rear extension and removal of the front porch. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say on this one? No? I think, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Councillor Crawford's got a hand.
No, I just wanted to say I think this is really excellent. It's being turned into a residence rather than a drinking establishment in a really residential area. So, and as it was as a Westgate club, that was really lovely, and there was a lot of history to it, and it was a type of club. Yeah, it was a club rather than a bar, etc. So, and it's a lovely building, and it'll be good to see it become a family home again.
Yeah.
Councillor Wallen, you have to bear with me, because I can only see one of you at a time, so I don't know who's raising their hands.
Oh,
so,
right.
I'm just saying that I completely agree with Councillor Cornford. It's good for, currently it's an empty building because nobody's using it as a club or anything. So bring it back as a house would be a brilliant idea. It's a nice building. Yeah, totally go with it.
And we've seen 3 letters of public support from neighbours in the area saying that they would welcome it back as a household again, and they're very much looking forward to it. So I think we can put that through with no comments. Do you agree?
Yes.
So that would be supported without comment.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, then we've got application 1155, which is 91 Westgate Bay Avenue. And this relates to some pollarding of trees on the property. So are there any comments on this one? It looks fairly straightforward.
No, I would just like to say on that one, Helen, that it's good to see trees being maintained correctly rather than felled. So that's, yeah, it's good.
Oh, that's good, because one of those is actually a diseased tree, but it's not being completely got rid of. The tree surgeon advised that it should be cut down to waist height and then check for recovery. So it's not being completely lost, and it might even come back again.
Good.
So I think we can say that can go through with no comments. Support with no comments.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have one final one, which is on the addendum, and that's application 1170, 24 Linden Road, erection of a single-storey outbuilding to rear of the property. Again, I think this looks fairly straightforward, but if Councillor Wallen or Councillor Cornford have any comments, that would be helpful. No?
Yep.
Yeah, Councillor Wallen has his hand raised.
Okay, sorry, I can't see you. Councillor Wallen? What would you like to say, David?
Oh, I think it's just frozen.
I see. Oh dear.
That's right, Councillor Page. No, it all looks fine. It was a bit
Has he gone again?
Yes.
Yeah.
vague.
We're not hearing you, David.
I think this one is fairly straightforward, isn't it? They're just taking down a small shed at the back and replacing it with a larger building. But I had a look at the photographs on, hello David, on Google.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
What I was saying was, I don't know how much we heard, but it looks fine to me. It looks from the original looking at the test of the back garden, so it's not a garage. It just looked a bit.
Yeah.
And you've all frozen again. Life.
So basically, you agree then that they're just taking down a small shed and putting up a slightly larger outbuilding, which really isn't a problem, is it? It's quite straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not if there haven't been any objections, no.
No, none at all. And there are no trees or hedges involved either. So there's nothing to worry about on that score. So I think, again, we can perhaps put that through support with no comments, if you agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Personally.
I believe that brings us to the end of the agenda. Unless there's anything anybody else would like to add to the meeting before we close. Perhaps Town Clerk, have you got anything, Jill, that you'd like to add before we close and finish?
No, I think that's fine. Thank you. Yeah, you've covered all the items. So yeah, no, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Nice
Thank
to
you,
see
Helen.
you. Okay, thanks a lot. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.